Welcome to Engage Math, Pre-Algebra, Lesson 24, Problem 5, and we are trying to solve an equation for x, and this equation happens to have an x squared with the variable. There's an exponent of 2. So let's think about what we're going to do to solve it. We actually approach it just like we do all equations. We try to get the x by itself. So in this case, we divide both sides by 5/10 or by 1/2. Now, a very common error is to right now say that x squared equals whatever half of 24 1/2 is. But we are dividing by 1/2. We're not multiplying by 1/2. So just to keep this in mind, when you divide by 1/2, you're basically doing the same thing as multiplying by 2. So x squared is going to be equal to 49. So because think of it this way, if you're not sure why that's true, think of 24.5. Let's redo this. 24.5 divided by, we know 0.5 is 1/2. We know that when we divide by a fraction, what we really are doing is we're multiplying by the reciprocal, 2/1. Kind of that keep change flip. That's why it's x squared equals 49 when we divide by 0.5. If we were dividing by 2, we'd take half of 24.5. But when we're dividing by 1/2, we multiply by 2. I know I've spent a lot of time on that, but I can't emphasize it enough. Now, the great news is we're almost done. X equals 7. But there's one really important point here, too. You have to remember that the value of x can be both a positive and a negative 7. And when you substitute a 7 in for x, it makes, and square it, you get 49. And when you substitute in a negative 7, you get 49. So x can be equal to a plus or minus 7. And this notation, the plus minus, is just a shortcut way of writing out the two answers of x equals 7, comma, x equals negative 7. All right, let's look at the next one. We're going to add 20 to both sides. So I'm not going to show that work, but x squared equals 400. And you might be thinking, oh, I know what multiplied by itself gives me 400. It's 20. Great. But don't forget, there's one other piece. You know what it is? I hope so. You have to do plus or minus 20 because there's really two answers. Really easy to forget that, but really important. Okay, the next one, we're going to add 3 to both sides. So we get 32 equals 2x squared. Divide both sides by 2. So 16 equals x squared. And that one I'm hoping pops right into your head. X is equal to a positive or a negative 4. Okay, we're on the next one. So this time, when you combine these two together, you actually have 2x squared equals 200. Divide both sides by 2, so you get x squared equals 100. And just like that, we take the square root of both sides, or we think about what multiplied by itself gives us 100, and we get both a positive and a negative 10. Thanks for joining us today at Engaged Math.